welcome to our 3-part video mini-series on navigating the job search as a parent or future parent. I'm Dr. Joseph Barber, a Senior Associate Director at Penn's Career Services, where I lead the team that serves graduate students and postdocs across 6 of Penn's schools. Since my team and I regularly meet with students and postdocs who have questions about entering the workforce as a parent, this video mini-series provides some quick answers to common questions that we get. We'll focus on a different topic in each video, providing advice, relevant resources, and encouragement to come and set up an appointment with us at Career Services. In this video, we'll be covering some tips on responding to inappropriate questions during job interviews. Feel free to pause the video to take a closer look at some of the information shared on the screen, and make sure that you download the resource sheet that accompanies this video in the description below to get links to all of the resources mentioned. Here's a good question to get us started. What if an employer asks you a personal question about your family or future family in a job interview? How should you respond to this? Well, let's first review some of the hiring guidelines that employers are meant to follow in terms of not asking questions that might lead to discrimination of candidates. These are topics that should not be asked about in job interviews. Asking questions about these topics is inappropriate because the answers that people might give could potentially be used to discriminate against them based on these legally protected categories. But ultimately, it is the discrimination that's illegal, not really asking the questions. And so don't be surprised if you still find yourself on the receiving end of questions that inappropriately touch on some of these personal areas. From your perspective, if you wanted to share that you have children, there is nothing stopping you from doing this during a job interview. Some people use a strategy to be as open as possible while still being professional so that they can be seen as both an ideal candidate for the job and a normal human being with a life beyond work. They don't want to hide what is an important part of their life. That being said, your family status probably shouldn't be the first thing you mention in a job interview, and you definitely don't want to talk about your future family planning, because no one needs to hear about that at work. And there are certainly going to be some career fields, some companies, some jobs, and some hiring managers who aren't eager to hear about your personal life, and who might be concerned that any personal aspect of your life might interfere with your work. As a best practice, it is always a good idea to sell your relevant skills, experience, and knowledge during an interview so that you can be seen as an ideal candidate for the job you're interviewing for. The more excited an employer is about the value you can bring, the less likely any of your unique personal attributes will even matter. Along those lines, here are 5 questions you should always be very prepared to answer in any job interview. If you are applying to employers that state up front that they are supportive of candidates with families, you're probably fine to respond to a casual question during an on-site interview lunch about whether you have looked into the local school districts without worrying too much about whether they are going to hold your family life against you. If you are meeting with a hiring manager who has pictures of their family in their office, you are probably safe to assume that they value this aspect of their life, and so you may be more likely to ask a question about flexible work schedules when they ask if you have any questions for them. However, you don't have to. You don't have to reveal any aspect of your personal life if this makes you uncomfortable. If you are asked inappropriate questions, you will need to find a way to respond to them. You can certainly answer directly if this makes sense to you. Perhaps it's an honest, albeit inappropriate attempt by the interviewer to get to know you. You can also respond with a question, professionally asking for some clarification as to why the question they are asking is relevant to the position. This might give the interviewer the opportunity to ask a more appropriate version of the question. Or you can try to answer the appropriate version of the question you think they should have asked by thinking about the intent behind the question. For example, if your interviewer asks you whether or not you have children, he or she might really be getting at whether your family responsibilities would interfere with job-related travel. In this case, you can respond by saying something like, "I try to keep my business and personal matters like that separate. I don't think my family life would ever affect my ability to do an excellent job here." There are some questions that can be asked. These are the legal and appropriate versions that you should be ready and willing to answer. Of course, if you walk into an on-site interview 8 months pregnant, there will be no hiding the distinct possibility of your future family status. You still have a choice as to whether you want to proactively mention this or just not mention it at all. Take a look at this blog post for more thoughts on this particular topic. If you are looking for more information on navigating job interviews and are in one of the schools served by Career Services, then log into Handshake and schedule an appointment or mock interview with a career advisor. If you haven't already watched parts 1 and 2 of this video mini-series about career exploration and effective resumes, Then click on these links to learn more about these topics.